This is the project that the intermediate students at Cabrillo College are doing for the conference in Davis. The conference is called the California Conference for the Advancement of Ceramic Art, and every year this particular class, it's different students, some repeat and do a few years, but every year we get different students, we do a different theme, and we put together a site-specific installation. I'd always thought that would be fun for students to make ceramic rocks and stack them. So we started with that. We worked with beginning students. They made rock cairns, the kind of cairn that you find along the trail markers where people stack rocks to give you direction. The rocks were hollow, and we could make them look very out of balance and precarious because they had a rebar rod up inside of them. So that led to the idea of building a arch. And then the students got together, they contributed ideas, and the rock arch evolved to an arch that transforms into a waterfall. We were up in Davis, and it was very well received. People would almost run into each other's cars going around the corner looking at this exhibit. We would see people craning their necks to see what's on this lawn that hasn't been here before. So the pressure was on. We thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do next time? I had a dream. I couldn't wait till the next morning to find my friend Catherine and tell her. And in this dream, I dreamed that we put a yard sale, a ceramic yard sale, on that street corner. So I told her about it, and she said, of course, we have to do a yard sale. And it was timely in that the economy had really slumped at that point, and there was so much in the news about people having to sell important things in their lives just to buy their groceries and such. So that was kind of the theme behind this exhibit. So the students were asked to choose something, maybe something they inherited, something near and dear to them, and make that in clay and put it out, pretend for sale. We had hats and shoes and bags and an old radio, old books, a ceramic lava lamp, all kinds of things. It was very appealing to the public, and to present this exhibit, because we're on an outdoor space, it's not an exhibit anymore where you would put pedestals in and put the objects of art on the pedestals. So we collected old pieces of furniture, painted them all white like pedestals in a gallery, and we set up the furniture on the street corner. And having the furniture all white, it didn't distract from the work, but it provided surfaces and backdrop. It provided sort of housing for the work. The school has offered that intermediate ceramics class for many years. However, my dear friend and colleague who passed away a few years ago, Catherine McBride, she loved to do collaborative projects with students and had taught that class a few times and did some small collaborations. And then one year, working with some of the other classes, she did a collaboration that was taken to Davis as part of Cabrillo's exhibit. But the big central focus project was the year that I was teaching the intermediate class, and she and I got to talking about the Davis project and how it would be so nice to make it different and have a different kind of space. So she requested an outdoor space for our exhibit. 2011 is when Catherine got sick, and we thought she was going to be okay, or we hoped she would. In the fall, just before the class started, we were talking and wondering, what's it going to be this year? It was always kind of a mystery. Where's the idea going to come from? And I had a dream, and in this dream, I saw a graveyard on that corner. And it took me aback. You know, I was a little nervous about it, thinking, oh my gosh, is this prophetic or something? And I hesitated a little while to even talk with her about it. But we'd known each other for so many years, and I just said, I had this dream, and I have to tell you, tell me what you think. And in the dream, at first I was kind of stunned and nervous, but as I approached the gravestones and started reading them, all of a sudden my whole perspective changed, because what had been put to rest were all these evils in the world. And it was like, oh, this is a positive place. So I told her about it, and she absolutely loved it. She said, yes, we have to do that. So she and I sat down, and we made lists of ills in the world and what we could present to students as ideas, and took it from there. Unfortunately, she wasn't well enough to participate in the semester, and she did pass that semester. But the students really embraced the project, and the ideas were, they could be either personal or political or global problems in the world that you would like to see put to rest. That was the assignment to the students, and there were so many. Intolerance, war, hatred, personal demons, overfishing, greed. There were many. It was absolutely cathartic, and it was so convincing that we had folks. Some of the students, students would wander around town to go see the other exhibits, and a couple of them came back to our exhibit and said, "You won't believe what we just heard." Evidently, there were some young women from another school. They were across the road, and they had their list of exhibits. They were visiting around town, going to see all of the artwork. They glanced over and said, "Oh no, that's just a graveyard," and they went forward. They had no idea that it was an exhibit. With that exhibit, we brought in an element of hope, and we had all the classes. Any student in any class at Cabrillo was invited to make a dove. So scattered in and around and over the headstones, we had doves, doves of hope and peace. One of the things I like to try to do with these projects is give the students a special technique, give them a skill that maybe they wouldn't get in the beginning classes. And the one skill that I had in mind was mold making. So I decided we could make a big impression, a big exhibit, if each person made a number of small objects. So the small objects, of course, are the fruits and vegetables that made up the farmer's market, and students could learn to make slip for slip casting, they could make their own molds, they could choose what they wanted to make, and it's really a clear collaboration, because when you work as a group, someone says, oh, I'd like to make cauliflower. Okay, I'll make the asparagus, and they got to pick and choose. Beth Bloom made a mold, not of a full cauliflower, but of parts of a cauliflower, and then pressed clay into the mold and then formed from the pieces of the cauliflower. Mandy made the asparagus, and she did not use a mold. She rolled every little spear, added every little detail to them. We had 5 tables. So that would have been just one of the tables. Conference kind of tables, easy to transport. Some of the containers for the fruits and vegetables were made from clay, others weren't. Like the baskets for the berries, those are all clay. Some of the baskets for other fruits or vegetables were ceramic. There's a crate that was made for the lemons. But the wooden crates, we had regular wooden crates that we had actually purchased from someone at the Cabrillo Farmers Market. 2 young men in the class, they had done a lot of wheel work before, and they said, well, there's always coffee at the farmer's market. And one of them decided he would use the wheel to throw the carafe. His brother was going to make the cups, and I had a mold that was already produced, so he used slip and he slip cast those. And there was another fellow in the class who made little containers, little milk cartons. We had some women come, approach the exhibit and look around and say, well, where's the school that's usually here? Thinking that it was a little pop-up farmer's market instead of our exhibit. it's come to the point where folks come looking for us. They can't wait to see what are they doing this year, which is kind of a lot of pressure, but it's inspiring and it's wonderful for the students. Welcome to High Strung Theater. So for this year, the theme is puppetry.
Well, welcome to our class. This is a fabulous class. I took it last year. We did a farmer's market theme for the same show up in Davis. And this year we're doing puppets, movable puppets made out of clay, which is pretty difficult.
The thing is, it's a whole engineering thing. And I'm not used to engineering things like this with moving parts.
And what are you doing with this, the water and
I'm making sure some parts are holding together well. They need a little bit more. This is called slip when it's the clay that's kind of muddy with water. And if you have some little cracks, or it like helps to glue them together. Yeah.
Sometimes I think back to the year we did the puppets and think to myself, what was I thinking? Because it was a challenge kind of beyond what you're really supposed to do with ceramics. Ceramics are heavy, they break, they clink together if you rattle them, but maybe I just wanted something different. I wanted something that could be fun, that could be somewhat interactive, something not just an exhibit that people would come and look at.
Hey, I'm doing a feminist fairy tale.
Oh, how great.
With a plus-size marionette.
And what is the fairy tale about?
I haven't gotten all the details yet, but either she's going to read a poem or speak about being independent and something like that.
And it took a while for us to think of an idea because Josie came a little later into the class. And one thing that Josie and I are both super passionate about is body positivity. So we decided that we're going to do a big girl dance show. We're very big candidates for the No Body Shame campaign, which is a campaign that is teaching everyone to love who they are and that the body is a beautiful thing and that we need to respect it by putting good things into our body and loving ourselves. So this is Josie's piece and she's coming along great. She's doing awesome. It's her first time taking this advanced class. As you can see, they're a little more curvaceous. She's doing her puppet based off a plus-size model, Tess Holliday. And I'm doing mine off of Slave Leia from Star Wars, but she's going to be plus size. So that's what we're doing for our show. And they're going to be dancing to music. We haven't decided the song yet, but something fun and sassy.
I'm working with a group and we're doing an underwater theme. I'm painting a glaze on the bottom of a crab, and I've also made some seahorses. I've got one seahorse here that I'm just finishing with. It's still kind of half wet clay. They call it leather hard. And then this is a seahorse I did a few weeks ago and now it's glazed. Another one of our group is working on an underwater shark-like fish.
Saw Shark is going to play the role of making it difficult for the deep sea diver to breathe, and it's all going to be by accident. So we're not going to ascribe bad things to saw sharks, but because of this nose, you know, we're taking advantage of that nose to put some action into this play we're doing, and someone will obviously be coming to the rescue. And then this is what I'm working on now. Secondly, this is the articulation, the part where we're wanting to, be able to wave the tail and and twist. This is going to be pretty stiff, you know, but so I have to figure out this part in the center, in the back here. And this is where I think we're going to try to use rings and beads, which will allow movement back and forth, you know.
This is underglazing, and we have some very quick bisque pieces, and then I'm testing colors on it. So I want to eventually transfer that to the fish and the crab that I'm making. The crab's right now back in bisque, so I'm going to test the colors now while I'm waiting for it.
This is glaze that's in a form of a pencil, and it's so I painted with with this pencil, and then I'm now covering what I did with wax resist, so that I can now paint over it. So.
A lot of the other puppets are going to have this kind of movement. A lot of our puppets are going to have sideways because we've got some fish involved.
Hey, it's Diver! Hi, Diver! Hi, Diver! Hey, look at my new move! That's slow.
This is his head. Ta-da! Right there. Trying to put it on is going to be a challenge.
It's going to be a tough choice for you, Wonder Woman, but you must make it. Which one will it be? Will it be Bachelor number 1? Yay! Bachelor number 2? Or Bachelor number 3? Yay! The lovely ladies played a fine game, and I know it's going to be a tough choice, but you must make it. Which one are you going to select? Well, after me giving this a bunch of deep thought and stuff, I think I'm going to choose number 2! And Francis, why is that? Well, honestly, I really think no one else really appreciates Jane Austen books like she does.
This puppet was done in different ways, and so I'll lift her skirt up, and as you can see, there are sort of strings that are attached to it, and when these strings come through the clothing, and I have a controller that shows me where these parts are. So for instance, this one says arms, and there is another one that is legs, and if you remember, she can kick, and this makes her walk. This is a complete body made of ceramics. I took eyes from dolls. I had a great time making this. It probably took the whole semester to get it figured out, but the process is definitely you're able to learn a lot from it.
We used what's called paper clay, which isn't a whole lot lighter than the regular clay that we use, but it is clay that has a little paper fiber mixed into it. It's a little easier to use.
He's going to be a very belligerent rooster. The leader of the pack. He's kind of the Donald Trump of birddom. So he's going to get his comeuppance.
And then what is that? What are you working
on? He has a lot of more feathers to go. Well, he has a lower jaw that's going to articulate, and he's going to go.
We exhibited endangered species, and each student could choose plant, animal, insect, whatever they would like, that they could research, something to make, to communicate to the world, to bring attention to. We had a grizzly bear that was only this big. The rhino was like this big. The camel was small. So many of the very large animals, of course, were small renditions. Some of the smaller pieces were life-size. And along with the exhibit, we made it somewhat scientific as well. The students each wrote up a little something about the species that they chose, and that was exhibited with it. So we could really communicate with the public.